Hello and welcome to our channel. History often remembers Adolf Hitler as a man who rose to power through sheer force of will and fiery speeches. But the truth is far more unsettling. Behind Hitler's rise was not just one man, but four powerful figures. Four men, each driven by ambition, greed, or blind calculation, who opened the door for one of history's most powerful leaders. They weren't Nazis at heart. Some even hated Hitler, but each, in his own way, made a choice that changed the world forever. This is the story of the bureaucrat, the media tycoon, the aging president, and the scheming politician. Men whose names you've probably never heard, but without whom Adolf Hitler might have remained a footnote in history. In 1929, Adolf Hitler was an odd mix of someone who had once been relevant but never truly made it. The attention and support he gained after his failed 1923 coup and his time in jail, during which he released his autobiography, Mein Kampf, had largely disappeared. His Nazi party held only a few seats in parliament and showed little promise of gaining momentum. The British ambassador to Germany wrote in his 1929 diaries that after serving 6 months in prison, Hitler was released and placed under supervision for the remainder of his sentence, after which he seemingly disappeared from public attention. Largely forgotten by history are the behind-the-scenes actions and critical misjudgments of a small group of men who brought Hitler back from obscurity and into public prominence. Without these individuals, Hitler likely wouldn't have become the infamous figure we remember today. Make no mistake, this isn't a case of the butterfly effect. Each of these men played a clear and direct role in making Hitler chancellor on January 29, 1933, and chances are, you've never even heard of them. 1. The bureaucrat, who bent the rules to let Hitler legally run for office. First off, something many people still overlook. Adolf Hitler, often considered the most infamous German in history, wasn't actually German. He was Austrian. This meant he was ineligible to run for political office in Germany and was even at risk of being deported. Conveniently, just weeks before the 1932 German presidential election, a fellow Nazi named Dietrich Klages, who held a government position in a small German state, handed Hitler a fake, unelected role in the state's administration. Under German law at the time, this sneaky move granted Hitler citizenship through the back door. This maneuver allowed Hitler to run for president, gain national recognition, and firmly establish himself in German politics. It's difficult to overemphasize how much history may have turned out differently if not for that single bureaucratic loophole. 2. The media tycoon who backed Hitler to protect his own financial interests. Like many wealthy Germans after World War I, especially those who stood to lose financially, media tycoon Alfred Hugenberg strongly opposed the reparations Germany was required to pay to the victorious countries. He attempted to create a committee to block Germans from participating in reparations payments. However, Hugenberg soon realized he needed a political partner with broader support among the working class. He saw Hitler as, in his own words, a tool to achieve this. With Hugenberg's backing, the Nazi Party received significant financial contributions and, perhaps more importantly, gained extensive coverage and favorable treatment from Hugenberg's media outlets, which had previously ignored or criticized them. Hugenberg even let the Nazis leverage his vast media empire to launch their critical propaganda campaign in full force. Additionally, his committee was composed of wealthy and influential figures whom Hitler would later connect with and exploit for his own purposes. Ultimately, as the complex negotiations that led to Hitler's appointment as chancellor wrapped up in January 1933, Hugenberg played a key role in brokering the alliance between the Nazis and the ruling conservatives that brought Hitler to power, securing for himself the lucrative position of Minister of Agriculture and Economics. 3. The aging president who ultimately succumbed to the manipulations of his cunning advisors. The man in charge of Germany before Hitler wasn't a weak leader pushed aside without resistance. In fact, President Paul von Hindenburg was extremely popular. Coming from a distinguished family, he had been groomed from a young age to become the celebrated war hero he eventually was. Following World War I, he was elected president twice with ease. As president, von Hindenburg had little regard for Hitler. Multiple times, Hitler and the Nazi Party attempted to claim the chancellorship, and each time, von Hindenburg rejected them. After one of Hitler's bids in 1932, he famously remarked, "I'll make him a postmaster so he can lick stamps with my face on them." The following year, as the 85-year-old von Hindenburg's health continued to decline and political pressure intensified from all directions, he ultimately became the one to officially place Adolf Hitler in power. After persistent urging from a handful of influential conservative figures, von Hindenburg was persuaded that appointing Hitler as chancellor would bring much-needed stability to Germany. On January 29, 1933, he granted Hitler the chancellorship, triggering a chain of events that would dramatically reshape history for more than a decade. However, placing all the blame on von Hindenburg alone would be a very narrow view. 4. The ambitious politician who helped bring Hitler to power to advance his own career. Although the political maneuvering that led to Hitler's rise was complex, the immediate catalyst can be traced back to one man, Franz von Papen. A nobleman and seasoned politician, von Papen had been removed from the chancellorship in November 1932, after spending years at the heart of German politics. However, the dismissed power player quickly saw an opportunity to revive his political career by aligning himself with Adolf Hitler. Realizing he didn't have enough support to reclaim the chancellorship himself, von Papen decided to leverage Hitler's fiery popularity to regain influence and slip back into the upper ranks of government. In 1932, the Nazi Party had passionate backing from several segments of society, but remained distrusted by many others, especially the ruling conservatives. Yet those conservatives had long struggled to produce a strong, compelling parliamentary leader. Despite his many faults, Hitler clearly had both charisma and effectiveness. Von Papen saw an opportunity to broker a strategic alliance between the conservatives and the Nazis, one that would lend credibility to the Nazis while injecting new energy into the conservative ranks. Most crucially for von Papen, it would also put him back in a position of power and influence. This scheme came to a head in January 1933 through a series of secret meetings between traditional conservatives and emerging Nazi leaders, though Hitler himself was not involved. While Hitler remained the symbolic leader and driving force of the Nazi movement, von Papen and his allies viewed him mainly as a useful figurehead, someone who could attract support but wouldn't truly hold power. After weeks of behind-the-scenes plotting, von Papen's plan was straightforward: push for Hitler to be appointed chancellor while securing the role of vice-chancellor for himself. He believed that by bringing Hitler into the official government structure, bogged down by bureaucracy and forced to follow legal protocols, he could be neutralized, made less dangerous, less effective, and eventually sidelined altogether. After successfully orchestrating Hitler's appointment as chancellor, von Papen confidently declared, "Within 2 months, we'll have backed Hitler into a corner so tight he won't be able to make a move." If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that dives deep into the untold stories and critical moments of World War II. Together, we remember the past to protect the future.